Kirby Smart and the Dawgs have one of their top uncommitted targets left in the country in town this weekend for a big official visit. Of course, I'm talking about four-star running back Lamar, one of the top running back prospects, not only in Georgia, not only in the South, but across the country in the 2026 class. He is a major Georgia target out of Colquitt County in South Georgia. This is a giant visit, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about him, how good he is, where Georgia sits with him, and we're going to talk about other running back targets as well, because as we know, the Dawgs are crushing it on the recruiting show right now, but they still need running backs, and they need one to jump on board sooner than later just so they can kind of exhale a little bit. They're doing great in other areas, but I still think they need two of the very best in the country in this class, and they're swinging for the fences. They're going after the best of the best. And Lamar is one of the best of the best, and they have a chance to really solidify themselves and gain some momentum and possibly gain a pretty big lead in his recruitment with a big official visit this weekend. So let's start off talking about him, okay? Dude's a bowling ball, an athletic bowling ball, if you can imagine that. 5'11", 205 pounds, a tackle-breaking machine. I didn't know who he was going into last season for Colquitt County, and he was terrific. Now, he shared the carries down there for the Packers, so he didn't exactly light up the stat sheet with some jaw-dropping numbers, but he did rush for 885 yards and 11 touchdowns, adding 8 catches for 172 yards and 2 more scores. He is big, he's physical, and when you turn on the tape, it's easy to see why he is ranked where he's at. And he's currently ranked as the number 9 running back prospect in the country, number 122 overall. Would not surprise me if that ranking increases more over time, because again, he's only had like one true year where he played big time minutes at the varsity level. If he has a giant senior season like I expect him to as the number 1 true bell cow running back for a very impressive program, he could light up the stat sheet as a senior. And when the final rankings are done, whenever those are, I could see him being a top 100 player in the country. He took official visits to Auburn, then Clemson, then Florida State, Miami, and this weekend is the big official visit to Georgia. Now, heading into the summer, I thought Georgia was the team to beat, probably Georgia, Clemson, and Miami. I think those two are still very much in the mix. I think Florida State's trying to do everything they can. I know Auburn's trying to do everything they can. I still think that Georgia is the team to beat here. And again, they might try to push for a commitment this weekend. If not this weekend, I would not be surprised if he made one in the next week or two, because this is the final official visit that I'm aware of that he's taking. And so I think, he might take a few days, maybe a week, maybe 2, decide with his family and make a commitment. So him committing before the month is over would not surprise me at all. And I think Georgia's going to do everything they can to say, hey, man, we need you. We offered you when you started blowing up last year as a junior. We need you badly. We want you to stay home. So, this is a guy that I've talked about for a long, long time, that this is a running back that Georgia fans need to keep an eye on. And I like where they sit right now going into this official visit. And I don't think they're going to go backwards right after a full weekend in Athens. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Again, 5'11", 205, tackle-breaking machine. He runs with balance. He's still agile. He's sudden, and he's shifty, especially for someone over 200 pounds. Definitely a guy to know. Okay, so Lamar is the guy that I think is probably trending Georgia's way the most. But let's talk about the other guys and where things sit. But y'all know who I'm talking about already, right? Every video I make about the running backs, it's the same guys because Georgia's going after the best in the country. So we have to talk about Xavier Crowwell. He was at Georgia a couple weekends ago. He doesn't talk to the media anymore. He's done. Straight up Rory McIlroy, just really not talking to the media, which is okay. That's his prerogative. But the people I speak with connected to him say that, Georgia's still in the mix. He likes Georgia. He's got a good relationship with that staff. But I do think they are probably behind Michigan and Tennessee and probably Ohio State. Maybe the Buckeyes are in this more than I think. But right now, I believe it's more of a Michigan-Tennessee battle, with Ohio State still probably up there towards the top with those two. Then probably Georgia. We'll see if things change. And I hear more information, but right now, I don't think Georgia is going to land him. And, that's tough because that's a guy they recruited for a long, long time. They identified him early in the process. He has been towards the very top of their board. I think he may be the number one running back on their board, which makes sense. He's ranked as the number one running back in the country. Ran for 1,900 yards last year, 29 touchdowns on just 156 carries. So that's just under 11 yards a carry. Also plays defense. He is a do-it-all, tremendous athlete, but size, speed, power. He is a big deal. He's fresh off a Michigan official visit, and then we'll be at Tennessee this upcoming weekend. So the Vols have the last chance, what I believe, to impress him and win him over. He's another guy who I think will probably make a commitment shortly after these official visits are done. So it looks like Tennessee will get the last chance to get in his ear and try to win him over. So does not look like Georgia's sitting in the best position for him. Xavier Crowwell, the number 2 running back in the country, he's coming off the board June 26th. I think Alabama still probably the team to beat there, but he's had a lot of great things to say about Georgia, this spring and after his official visit, which was earlier this summer. He said, man, the visit to Georgia was incredible. From the moment I got there, you could tell you could feel the energy and the standard that they hold themselves to. One of the biggest takeaways from the visit was how detailed everything is, from the way they practice to how they prepare their players for life after football. It is all first class. He's ranked as the number 32 prospect in the country, and he ran for just under 2,000 yards as well, 31 touchdowns last season. And again, June 26th, he'll be coming off the board, and I think Alabama is the team to beat for him there. Derek Cooper, another guy we've talked about for a while now. He was kind of committed to Georgia for like 24 hours, I believe, last spring, early in the process. He backed that off. Miami's definitely a team in the mix. He's from South Florida. Texas, another team very much involved. He rushed for 905 yards, 13 touchdowns last year. He's another guy who plays defense, which is great. I love that. These top running backs across the country, these big deal, these 5-star running backs are also playing defense for their respective teams. And he does it well. 46 tackles, 10 tackles for a loss at the safety spot, 4 sacks, 1 interception. He's forcing fumbles. He's recovering fumbles. He's ranked as the number 3 running back, number 35 overall. He can also play receiver for you. He can match you, be a nightmare in the slot. So he's the more versatile guy, and he's like 6'1", 190. So kind of a taller, leaner back with size too, but he's got plenty of muscle on him. Georgia's gonna, he was in Athens, I believe, 2 weeks ago. They're in the mix, right? They're in the mix, but I do think Miami might still be the team to beat. Texas, I know, is doing a great job with him, among others. So still a handful of schools. Georgia's definitely in that top group. I'm not ready to say that they lead or anything like that, but it's a guy they've wanted badly for a while now. And again, he's the number 3 running back in the country. So top 5, top 10, Georgia's after those guys. But they need 2, right? If they get Jay Lamar and they miss on the other guys, where are they going to go from there? I think that's a big question mark. There's a lot of guys in the state of Georgia that, are committed elsewhere, and guys that they didn't really recruit. The state was pretty loaded with running backs in the 2026 class. Janaz Walton out of West Georgia, Central Carrollton. That's a guy that I thought Georgia was in on, or Central, Central High School, Central Columbus is what I mean to say. Yeah, I think it's out there in Columbus. He was a guy that I thought Georgia was in on early in the process. He's committed to Notre Dame. That's what I'm trying to say. Carson Baker was a guy they had on campus out of Langston Hughes. He's committed to Florida. Definitely felt like Auburn, Florida, a few other schools were recruiting him harder than Georgia was. So him going to Florida is not surprising at all. Amari Latimer is a kid out of Sandy Creek High School. He's big, he's physical. I think he's good enough to play at Georgia. Doesn't look like, it seems like there's not been a whole lot of communication there. He might end up at Wisconsin. Xavier Rucker is a kid out of Alatoona that I like a lot. I've been writing about him for a long time before he had any offers. He's now committed to Georgia Tech. He's fast, explosive, and a weapon out of the backfield catching the ball as well. Jarian Campbell is committed to Indiana. He plays at McEachern. I think Georgia offered him, never really pushed for him. CJ Givers is a kid from Roswell, Fellowship Christian. He's committed to Duke. Maybe they start reaching out to some of those guys, but I do think they need 2 running backs. They don't have one on the commit list right now. I think Jay Lamar is probably the closest to committing to Georgia, but they need backs. And that I know that they can always go to the portal for running backs, but you still want to try to get some of these elite backs out of high school. We'll see if things change with Sabian Hyder, Derek Cooper, Xavier Crowwell, but I do think they are in a really good spot for Lamar, who will be in town this weekend for his big official visit. That's the big news. That's the big target that Georgia fans need to keep an eye on. And right now, I think Georgia is the team to beat. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I'll see you over on Dawg Post.